When the 1980s began, most of the country still had the wound of Vietnam open and did not view the military with much respect. When Ronald Reagan took office, he began to build up the military that had been lacking in strength to combat the Soviets. This was the time that the Nebraska National Guard was once again built up. On May 18, 1980, the 155th was deployed to Turkey after they had been shown to be an outstanding unit, showed in the number of awards they had gained and the fact that since 1977 they had had no accidents, making them a unit with 3 years of accident-free flying, which is quite an achievement. Also, from its early days, Nebraska's Air National Guard has won many awards from the Air Force, including the Pesh Flights Safety Award in 1990. It was recognized as the Best Day Recon Team. It was also awarded the Best Maintenance Crews at the 1988 International Reconnaissance Air Meet, and it has continued to earn many awards to this day. After its deployment in 1980, the 155th returned in 1984 and 1988, and the group has built a lasting relationship with the Turkish Air Force, which lasts to this day. The Army Guard also went through many changes at this time with the reconstitution of the 35th Battalion on August 24, 1984. Also, with Reagan's rebuilding of the military, the Nebraska National Guard began to increase its strength, receiving more full-time employees, better training opportunities, and better equipment. Much of this better equipment have, however, continued to be regular Army hand-me-downs, such as Nebraska's 195th Armor's M60A3 tanks, which it received after the regular Army had changed to the M1 Abrams tanks. Even though the National Guard continued to lag 10 years behind the regular Army's equipment on average, they continued to be ready for any combat situation. They also have a close tie to the public through their many roles in charities and continued assistance in statewide emergencies such as floods, fires, and tornadoes, such as the 1975 tornado that destroyed over 275 homes in Omaha, and the June 3, 1980 Grand Island tornado. When Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait in 1990, America responded by sending contingents of the 82nd Airborne. Soon they began sending even more troops. The order came for the 24th Medical Group to deploy, and on November 20th, 1990, thousands of Lincoln residents from schools, businesses, and family members lined the streets to wish them all good luck and goodbye, and at 2 p.m., their Huey helicopters lifted off and did a formation flyover Arnold Elementary School as children poured out of the school to cheer for the guardsmen. They then flew over the airbase to salute the family members before they flew down O Street as Lincolners cheered and waved at them from below. This marked the first time since World War II the Nebraska's National Guard would be deployed to war. On December 26, 1990, the first 2 flights carrying half the unit's personnel and all of its helicopters landed in Saudi Arabia. During their deployment, they would fly medevac missions, maintenance flights, and provide transportation. Nebraska's 1267th Medical Company arrived in Saudi Arabia on February 13th, and by February 20th, all their equipment had arrived. February 24th, they went on mission-ready status the day the ground war began. They flew missions in Iraq, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia. They took part in dangerous missions, including one which had them land in their helicopter and then walk through a minefield, which had been created by an American cluster bomb where an 11-year-old girl and her younger brother, who was riding a donkey, wandered. The donkey stepped on a mine, killing the donkey and amputating the boy's foot, and caught the young girl in the back of the head. They were able to retrieve the children, and they medevac them in a helicopter with their parents to a forward support hospital. Even though the 1267th and 24th flew more missions after the war's end, they continued to haul accident patients. They, during their deployment, had contact with their families through mail and mobile AT&T telephone tents that moved from camp to camp. They also had access to CNN and knew about the support the troop rallies back home, which raised their morale. One of the biggest rallies was Operation Wahoo Cookie, which was taken part by 89 Wahoo citizens who baked cookies and made care packages marked with the title "For Any Soldier," which included a cookie, letter, frisbees, toothbrushes, books, and other donated items. In all, over 825 pounds of materials were collected and shipped from Offutt Air Force Base in Omaha to soldiers in Saudi Arabia. These rallies proved to the country that for the first time since Vietnam, our soldiers were well respected and loved by the average person. Nebraska's National Guard was able to outperform its regular Army counterparts during the operation, proving that the National Guard was just as capable and important as the regular Army. The 24th received a festival welcome home on April 21st, and the 1267th returned home on May 24, 1991. The only thing that hampered their joyous return were the deaths of First Lieutenant Pete Rose, Sergeant Dallas Cooper, and Chief Warrant Officer Carol McKinney. For the rest of the 90s, the National Guard continued to do what it did best, helping out all over the state. After the Soviet Union fell in 1991, Nebraska and Texas's National Guard paired up to partner with the Czech Republic to help make their transition to a democracy. And to this day, both states still have close ties with that country. In 1992, the 155th transitioned from its RF-4s to KC-134R Stratotankers, and from a reconnaissance mission to a mission of providing aerial refueling. In the mid-90s, the 1267th and 24th transitioned from UH-1 Hueys to UH-60 Blackhawks. The Army Guard traded its M60 tanks for trucks and Humvees, because it would allow them to be deployed more. Since then, the 155th has continued to use KC-135Rs, and with the introduction of the KC-46 Pegasus, will eventually transition to that aircraft. After the attack on the Twin Towers on September 11, 2001, Nebraska's National Guard joined the fight on terror by sending troops to Iraq and Afghanistan. They have continued to prove their combat effectiveness with ground troops and its reliability with medevacing and aerial refueling. Around 2004 and 2005, the Army Guard's 135th Aviation Regiment added a new helicopter to its inventory, the CH-47 Chinook. One event during the War on Terror for the Army Guard members for Nebraska is the Battle of Bismarck. On March 20th, 2005, a 33-vehicle convoy from Nebraska's 1075th Transportation Unit, made up of soldiers mainly in their 20s leaving their base in Kuwait, were ambushed after an IED flipped over a van, blocking their path, bottlenecking them on a highway. Local truck drivers abandoned their vehicles and ran for cover, which added to the traffic jam. According to soldiers involved, you could see RPG smoke in the air and hear rifle rounds buzzing all over the place. Many described it as crazy, and many said it hit them that this was getting bad when they heard over the radios their buddies saying, "We're hit, we're hit." One soldier recalled thinking, "I'm only 21 years old. I guess I've lived my 21 years." And this was where it was all going to end. After 20 minutes, the battle was over, and the 4 Nebraskans that were wounded were helped out, and the other 10 continued the convoy mission. Another moment that the Nebraska Army National Guard came to the rescue was after Hurricane Katrina in 2005, where they were sent to help with policing the New Orleans area from looters and assisting with cleanup. On August 6, 2011, a Chinook from the 135th was shot down, killing all 38 on board, resulting in one of the worst losses of life in the whole Afghanistan campaign. Nebraska National Guard Sergeant Patrick Hamburger from the 135th Aviation Regiment died on that mission. And later that year, a memorial flyover was held in his honor using a CH-47. With the ever-changing requirements of the military, in 2012, Nebraska's Army National Guard transitioned its Bell OH-58 Kiowas to UH-72A Lakotas. These will be used as light medevac helicopters and recon helicopters. They have, in their short time with the Army Guard, already been deployed. This deployment was to the Mexican border to help with anti-drug trafficking. The Air National Guard has also played roles in the War on Terror by helping refuel aircraft and the transportation of cargo and men.